Welcome back to Fashion Makerspace. I am Hailey, and today I'll be demonstrating how to upcycle this multi-purpose drawstring bag. Before we dive into this project, let us show you how to use the sewing machine.
Hi everyone! So we're going to basically go through how to thread the sewing machine. I have a domestic sewing machine in front of me, and we'll start off with covering the different components of the machine, and after that we will cover how to thread the machine using the top thread as well as the bobbin as well. Okay, so over here we have the thread spool. So this is where the main thread is going to go, and then we also have here the upper stitch tension dial. So essentially this helps to control the stitch tension, and I will share a little bit more on that later. And then here we have several buttons. So this one over here is the reverse stitch button. So this actually serves to help lock your stitches when you sew, and you will only need to do that at the start and at the end of your sewing. So this is the button that controls the needle. So when you press it, it either goes down or up depending on where it's at. And this over here is the speed control. So you can go slow all the way to fast depending on your preference, but some machines don't have this. So if you don't have this on your machine, not to worry. The speed is controlled by how hard you press against the foot pedal. Okay, then over here, in case you're wondering, this button here is actually to help your needle go lock the stitch at the current position that is at. And over here, this button here is for when you're not using the foot pedal. Then you can start and stop with this button. Okay. This over here is the footer. So it's where you slide the fabric in, and then when you're ready to sew, you place the footer down. Okay, so at all times when you're sewing, you must remember to put the footer down. So over here, this is the stitch selection dial. So there are many different stitches, but the most common ones are the straight stitch and the zigzag stitch. And over here, this is what the straight and the zigzag stitches look like. And over here at the bottom, we also have the buttonhole stitches. Okay, so this is quite common as well. And then over here on the top, this actually helps us to control the length of the stitches, and this one here helps to control the width of the zigzag stitches. Or if you're on a straight stitch, you can actually use this button to change the needle position as well. Okay, so now we're going to learn how to thread the sewing machine. First of all, we're going to wind the bobbin. So the bobbin is actually this thing over here. So this will be eventually placed below, and the top thread here together with the bobbin thread will intertwine to form a stitch. So we're going to wind the bobbin with this thread first. So over here on my machine, I actually have an indication marked by the dotted lines on how to wind the bobbin. Okay, you may have it on yours as well, but if not, you can follow the directions. So over here, we'll place the thread spool and cap this close to prevent the threads from falling out. Okay, and then after that, we're going to go on number 1, sliding it in. Number 2, sliding it downwards as well. So this part here, we're going to start off by going behind towards the right first, and then towards the left, okay, right behind this tension button here, and then forward around it and give a little tug so that the thread basically goes underneath the little button. Okay, so over here, we're going to put the bobbin, slide it right all the way in, and then bring the thread over and wind this in a clockwise direction. So you need to take the thread, put it at the back, and then wind it clockwise. Now do this for at least 4 to 5 rounds, and either you can choose to cut off the remaining thread, or if you just have a little bit, you can continue to wind it all. The most important thing is you don't want to end up with long tail over here. Okay, now we are going to therefore wind the bobbin. So we need to engage the bobbin by pushing this lever over to the right. Okay, then after that we can just straight away step on the pedal and it will move. So wind this as much as you want. Once you're done, you don't have to worry that it will overflow because of the sensor over here. So it will auto stop when it's too full. And then you let go of the pedal and cut the thread anywhere along this line. Okay, so you're done with the bobbin. Now you can take it out. So flip it over back to the left and pull it upwards. Okay, now we're going to start with the threading over here. Okay, so over here we're going to first thread the top thread. Now when we do this, you can observe your sewing machine and take a look. So over here, mine actually has a solid line to represent the top threading, and it also has a numbering system. So you can observe your machine to check if you see the same thing as well. Okay, so over here, I will have number 1 over here, number 2 over behind, and we bring it all the way down here, and don't use the top tension button that we used previously. So bring it all the way down and then bring it up so that it hooks over here. And at step 4, there is another hook here. Now if your needle is actually below and not at the highest point, the hook won't be seen. So you need to bring your needle up to the highest point, and then from here you're going to slide it over from the right to the back and left downwards. Okay, so it's hooked there as well. Then next will be step 5, which is down, and at number 6 there's actually like a L-shaped hook. The opening is on the right, so you need to slide your threads from the right side. So over here, I will hold the threads with both hands, slide it in. Okay, and then at this point, I want to lower the footer with the lever. Okay, lower the footer here all the way down, okay, to hold the thread. Then I will slide it in here at number 7. Now, not all sewing machines have this, so I'll show you guys the manual method later. So I'll do the auto threader method first. So at number 7, here, you slide it in, slide it over to the side, and at number 8 here, you need to pull the thread and it will cut off. Okay? Now finally, step 9 is to push the lever all the way down to the bottom and release. And you will see a loop form at the back here. So you need to pull at the back of the needle, pull the loop, and it will come threaded right through. Now just do a quick one for the manual threading. So the only difference is at this stage. After stage 6, what you can do is you can snip the end of your stitch here, the end of your thread here, snip it in a slanted position so that it's a bit sharper. So after clipping the threads, hold the thread about 1 centimeter away from the end and steadily try to bring this thread from front to back. Okay, so if you can't see, just go slow and pull from the back. Okay. Alright, then for the last and final step for the bobbin, we will actually be placing this bobbin down over here in the bobbin area. So first of all, I'm going to give myself a bit of space, so I will lift up the footer here. So for the very last step, we are going to place the bobbin inside this bobbin area. So first we need to remove the cover. I will push this open towards the right and the cover pops open. Remove it. And then over here, the bobbin direction is important. You need to make sure, based on my machine especially, okay, that the left hand side is where the thread end is, okay? And if you look closely, it resembles the shape of a letter P. Alright, and then you will place this down here. Follow the guides. So I'm going to slide it in the grooves. And finally at the end, give a little tug and the thread cuts. Finally over here, I'm going to slide this towards the left and cap this down to close. And there you are done with the threading for your machine. Okay, so when you do your stitching, do always check the tension first before you begin on your actual project. So over here, I have 3 examples of a straight stitch. So the very first one here, you can actually see that it's slightly puckering, okay? And the second one seems a little bit loose, and the third one is nice and straight. So when I flip it over, you can also see that unlike the bottom one here, the rest on the top also look a bit inconsistent, okay? So ideally, you want to make sure for an ideal tension, the front and the back stitches are nice and even and flat, okay? Now, if there's any errors in your tension, there's a few things you can check. Of course, one of it would be always double check your threading if it's correct, especially the bobbin threading. And then next would be over here with the stitch tension dial, you have the options to lower or to increase the tension, so you can also try that as well. However, for most sewing, we normally use the tension between anywhere between 3 to 6 and hardly more than that. But do check your tension as well when you're stitching. Okay, so any questions, please feel free to come to us as well. So now that you know how to use the sewing machine, so let's jump right back into our project.